At 59 years old, Rick Harrison, iconic face of the hit reality show, has just dropped a bombshell that fans never saw coming. After months of speculation and swirling rumors, Rick has broken his silence and confirmed the unthinkable. His son is facing a life sentence. What went wrong? How did a beloved TV family find itself in the middle of such a shocking scandal? Stay tuned, because this is the story they didn't want you to hear. From dominating reality TV for over a decade to the jaw-dropping scandals hiding just beneath the surface, this is the explosive, untold story of Pawn Stars and Rick Harrison's stunning confession. What began as a family-run pawn shop built on gold, silver, and grit has spiraled into a whirlwind of lawsuits, betrayal, and backroom secrets. Behind the glitz of Vegas and the charm of TV, the Harrison empire is teetering on the brink of collapse. At the heart of it all, Richard the Old Man Harrison, a no-nonsense Navy veteran, and the rock on which the gold and silver pawn shop was built. His death in 2018 didn't just leave a personal void, it cracked open the foundation of the entire empire. Rick Harrison, the sharp-witted son with a nose for TV gold, turned the family business into a pop culture phenomenon. But behind every priceless antique and feel-good negotiation was a high-stakes game, one where the stakes just kept rising. Rick knew from the beginning, pawning is never just about money, it's about the story. The more compelling the backstory, the higher the price tag. From hard times and heartbreak to hidden treasures, every item had a tale to tell. But even with all his savvy, Rick couldn't predict the dark turn ahead. Controversies, legal battles, shocking family feuds. The pawn shop, once known for its charm and history, may now be remembered for its downfall. This is the rise, fall, and reckoning of Pawn Stars. And it's just getting started. The real game changer didn't come from the pawn counter, it came from Hollywood. In 2009, Pawn Stars exploded onto the scene with its debut on the History Channel, transforming a gritty Las Vegas pawn shop into a global TV sensation. Viewers were instantly hooked, tuning in weekly to watch Rick Harrison, his stern but wise father, the Old Man, his son Corey Big Hoss Harrison, and the lovable goofball Austin Chumlee Russell haggle over everything from ancient Egyptian relics to ultra-rare comic books. No 2 days were ever the same, and that was exactly the magic. But behind the laughs, the banter, and the million-dollar deals, a family storm was brewing. As the show's fame skyrocketed, so did the tensions behind the scenes, leading to a stunning family feud that would rock the Harrison empire to its core. Enter Joanne Harrison, Rick's 81-year-old mother, armed with a lawsuit and decades of resentment. According to USA Today, Joanne filed a bombshell civil suit in Nevada State Court, accusing her own son of betrayal. She claimed that after spending 58 years married to Richard the Old Man Harrison, she was manipulated into signing over her majority ownership 51% of the pawn shop while she was hospitalized and recovering from a coma in the early 2000s. She says she didn't understand what she was signing, and when her husband passed in 2018, things only got worse. Joanne was supposed to inherit his remaining 49% stake, but Rick, she alleges, kept her in the dark about the business's finances, leaving her without proper records for over $500,000 in cash and silver her late husband had supposedly amassed. Now, Joanne's legal team is seeking not only an accounting of the assets, but unspecified damages, a court-ordered ban preventing Rick from touching her funds, and a constructive trust over property she claims is rightfully hers. Rick, for his part, isn't backing down. Speaking to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, he flat-out denied the allegations, claiming his mother is being manipulated by people who only want her money. But this was only the beginning. The lawsuit, was just the first domino to fall in a series of bombshells that would threaten to tear the Pawn Stars' legacy apart. In 2020, the glittering empire built by Pawn Stars hit a crushing low. According to the Daily Mail, the gold and silver pawn shop, which typically rakes in over $1 million annually, made a shockingly tiny $3,746 during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The doors may have been open, but the cash flow was dead on arrival. But the financial fallout was just the beginning. The legal drama escalated when Rick Harrison's own mother took things to the next level by filing a temporary restraining order against her son. Yes, you read that right? Joanne Harrison, now 81 and reportedly battling multiple health issues that require 24/7 care costing up to $115,000 a month, wasn't just going after Rick in court, she was trying to stop him cold. The restraining order was filed to prevent Rick from selling off or concealing the family's assets, particularly those tied to the late Richard Harrison's stake in the business. According to court documents, Rick had previously been making regular $225,000 payments to his mother from his father's share of the shop. But in 2020, those payments suddenly stopped. Joanne, left without her allowance and facing mounting medical bills, claimed she had no choice but to take legal action. Her goal? To have the payments reinstated and freeze Rick from taking any further actions that could damage her financial stake in the family business. Even more shocking, Rick didn't hear about the restraining order from his mother. He found out through the media. The betrayal stung. Rick later told reporters that he had made multiple attempts to reach her for months, hoping to resolve the issue privately. But every call, every effort went unanswered. The pawn shop king was being iced out of his own family, and it wasn't just about money. It was about control, legacy, and decades of unresolved tension. And just when things couldn't get any worse, another scandal was brewing. This time, it wasn't family, it was Chumlee. Austin Chumlee Russell, the fan-favorite jokester of Pawn Stars, was about to find himself in serious legal hot water. When it comes to Pawn Stars, no cast member has stirred up more controversy than Austin Chumlee Russell, the fan-favorite goofball who quickly went from comic relief to front-page scandal. According to TMZ, the trouble started back in 2012, when Chumlee was caught on camera throwing punches in the middle of a Hollywood street brawl. Witnesses say he and his friends were approached by a man who quickly got hostile, and within moments, fists were flying. The unidentified man was left bruised and bleeding on the pavement as Chumlee and his crew sped away from the scene. But Chumlee claimed self-defense. He told TMZ that the man threatened to pull a gun on them, and instinct took over. "The guy didn't even know I was on TV," he said. "He just wanted to ride in our car and start trouble." That might have been a close call, but nothing could prepare fans for what happened 4 years later. In 2016, the Chicago Tribune reported that Chumlee was arrested and jailed after a police raid turned up drugs, weapons, and the kind of headlines that could destroy a career. The arrest was part of a deeper investigation into sexual assault allegations made by a woman. And while Chumlee wasn't officially booked on sex crime charges, officers found plenty to charge him with. Methamphetamine, marijuana, and at least one firearm were reportedly seized from his Las Vegas home. Clark County records listed a staggering 20 felony charges, 19 for drug possession and 1 for illegal weapons possession. Las Vegas Metro PD spokesperson Officer Larry Hadfield told reporters that while Chumlee wasn't facing sexual assault charges at the time, the investigation was ongoing. "We're doing everything we can to get to the truth," he said. The Pawn Stars fandom was shaken. The goofy sidekick everyone thought they knew, the guy cracking jokes at the counter, was now facing the fight of his life in court. And just like that, the gold and silver pawn shop's squeaky clean TV image began to crumble under the weight of scandal, secrets, and a lot of skeletons in the back room. Although the sexual assault charges against Austin Chumlee Russell were eventually dropped, the damage was already done. His squeaky clean TV image shattered. And just when he thought he was off the hook, the real nightmare began. According to TMZ, the police raid on his Las Vegas home unearthed a jaw-dropping stash of narcotics, marijuana, meth, Xanax, and traces of cocaine. But it didn't stop there. They also found 12 firearms, and 8 of them were unregistered. With the evidence stacked sky high, Chumlee had no choice but to strike a deal. To avoid serious prison time, he pled guilty to 2 charges, a felony weapons charge for unlawful firearm possession and a gross misdemeanor for attempted drug possession. He narrowly dodged a prison sentence, but his reputation took a permanent hit. And he wasn't the only Pawn Stars personality spiraling out of control. Corey Big Hoss Harrison, Rick's son, and the heir apparent to the pawnshop throne, had his own wild streak and a few legal misadventures that kept his name in the headlines. It all started during a stop on a motorcycle tour in Jefferson City, Missouri. After a reported week-long booze bender, Corey ended up at a bar called Spectators, and that's when things went sideways. Witnesses claimed that a clearly intoxicated Corey urinated in public, then hurled a bar stool, leading to him being forcibly removed from the premises. The incident went viral, and the backlash was immediate. Corey issued a public apology, admitting his mistake, but trouble seemed to follow him like a shadow. In 2021, he made headlines again, and this time, it wasn't just bar antics. According to TMZ, Corey had rented an RV in 2020 for a desert getaway in California. But things took a turn when the RV's owner, William Villana, alleged that Corey failed to return the vehicle on time, and when it did show up, it was in absolute ruins. Villana claimed that Corey's assistant called a day after the return date, saying they'd been in an accident and the RV would be towed. But it took 2 more days before the wrecked vehicle arrived with a ripped-off awning, smashed exterior, and an interior reportedly littered with empty booze bottles and raw eggs. The estimated repair cost? $30,000. Worse yet, Villana said he had to cancel 10 upcoming reservations, losing out on business, and when Corey allegedly refused to pay for the damages, a police report was filed. Trying to contain the growing scandal, Corey's rep issued a weak statement. The RV's pop-outs wouldn't go back in, and it wasn't drivable. That was all they had to say. Corey Harrison may have dodged the RV debacle in court, but not in the court of public opinion. He insisted he had the wrecked RV towed back to Las Vegas, and that insurance handled the rest. Legally, he walked away clean. But his public image, that was another story. And his legal headaches were just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, Corey was fighting a far more personal battle: his health. Years of unhealthy living and the pressures of fame had taken a toll, pushing his weight into dangerous territory. In 2010, Corey made a life-changing decision: gastric bypass surgery. The operation helped him shed over 100 pounds, but the fight didn't end there. With the pressures of managing a multi-million-dollar business, staying in the public eye, and trying to live a normal life, Corey struggled to maintain balance. Fortunately, he had one ally who stood by him, his longtime friend, Chumlee, who was so inspired by Corey's transformation that he launched his own weight loss journey. But the Pawn Stars crew couldn't celebrate for long, because the next scandal would shake the show's credibility to its core. While Rick, Corey, and Chumlee were the faces of the show, Pawn Stars relied heavily on a rotating cast of expert specialists who gave appraisals, authenticated rare items, and gave fans a reason to believe in the shop's expertise. From vintage coins to celebrity autographs, these pros became fan favorites. Until it all started to unravel. One of the most notorious controversies involved Johnny Jimenez Jar, the show's go-to guy for vintage toys. In 2015, Johnny made headlines for all the wrong reasons. According to TMZ, he was caught on camera, allegedly assaulting his girlfriend outside a Las Vegas restaurant after a night of heavy drinking. Johnny tried to do damage control, claiming he was simply helping his intoxicated girlfriend walk, not hurting her. But the video told a different story. His once trusted image was left in tatters. Then came the mistake that really rattled the fanbase. John Resnikoff, a so-called autograph authentication expert, made a high-profile error in 2011 that called everything into question. While examining a script from The Godfather, Resnikoff confidently declared the autograph belonged to Al Pacino. Turns out it was actually signed by producer Al Ruddy. Sure, the mistake might seem small, but for a show built on expertise and accuracy, it was a massive red flag. Fans started to wonder, if they messed this up, what else have they gotten wrong? Was the gold and silver pawn shop really a hub of historic knowledge, or just a Hollywood illusion cracking at the seams? But nothing, absolutely nothing prepared fans for the scandal that exploded in 2015, one that nearly torched Pawn Star's reputation beyond repair. It all centered around Drew Max, the show's trusted sports memorabilia expert. A familiar face on the series, Max built his reputation as a man who could separate real from fake with a single glance. But in a shocking twist worthy of a primetime expose, Max was accused of fraud in New Jersey for authenticating counterfeit sports items that were later sold at auction to unsuspecting buyers. According to lawsuits filed by furious collectors, Max allegedly used his TV fame to boost his credibility, luring buyers into trusting his word and ultimately scamming them out of thousands. Fans were stunned. If Max could get it so wrong, or worse, deliberately mislead how many other fakes had slipped through the shop's doors. How many deals were built on lies? Unlike previous missteps, few rushed to defend him. This wasn't a simple mix-up. This was fraud, and people were out for blood and their money. And as the scandals piled up, Pawn Stars began to lose the very soul that made it a breakout hit. When it first aired, the show struck a perfect balance between entertainment and education. Each episode felt like a treasure hunt through history, with Rick and his crew giving viewers a front-row seat to rare relics, surprising backstories, and one-of-a-kind deals. The thrill came from the unknown. What would walk through the door next? But by the mid-2010s, that magic began to fade. Reports surfaced that sellers were pre-selected, the deals pre-negotiated, and the appraisals pre-scripted. The raw, unpredictable energy that had once pulled viewers in was replaced by overly produced drama. Even the lighthearted arguments between cast members started to feel fake, manufactured for the cameras. Gone were the spontaneous moments of discovery. In their place, reality TV tropes, family feuds, and drama that felt less like a pawn shop and more like an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Longtime fans took notice. The show that once felt like a love letter to history now felt like a glossy soap opera. Even the cast began to feel more like characters than real people. Rick, once the shrewd and knowledgeable dealmaker, became the grumpy boss. Corey turned into the distracted heir with ambition, but no direction. And Chumlee, once the lovable sidekick, became a walking contradiction, his goofy persona clashing with the dark cloud of his off-screen legal battles. Between the family turmoil, Chumlee's arrest, and scandal after scandal involving their so-called experts, Pawn Stars was no longer about pawn deals, it was about damage control. And for fans who had tuned in to watch history being made, it started to feel like history itself. Pawn Plaza, from big dreams to a business bust. As Pawn Stars soared in popularity, Rick Harrison aimed to cash in beyond the pawn counter with Pawn Plaza, a retail center built right next to the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. The concept sounded like a sure thing, a tourist hotspot packed with restaurants, shops, and Pawn Stars energy. But in reality, it was a complete flop. Many businesses shut down within months, citing lack of foot traffic, and blamed Rick for providing little to no marketing support. What was promised to be a thriving hub fueled by TV fame became a ghost town, and the backlash came fast. Several business owners filed lawsuits, accusing Rick of false expectations and failed leadership. What was supposed to be an empire extension quickly turned into an expensive embarrassment. Olivia Black, fired for her past, not her performance. In 2012, Pawn Stars fans were introduced to Olivia Black, a bold and edgy new face at the shop who instantly became a fan favorite. But her time on the show was shockingly short-lived. Without any explanation, Olivia vanished from the screen, and fans demanded to know why. The answer? Nude modeling photos from her past had surfaced online, and producers swiftly fired her. The decision sparked outrage. Fans called the move unfair and sexist, arguing that her past had nothing to do with her job performance. Despite being let go, Olivia didn't disappear. She stayed in the industry, built a career as a model and adult entertainer, and even filed a wrongful termination lawsuit, though it was later dropped. Still, her story became a symbol of Pawn Stars' increasingly controversial image. The melted coin collection mystery. By 2014, the Pawn Stars cast were no strangers to legal drama, but this one struck a nerve with collectors everywhere. According to ABC News, a man named David Walters accused his niece, Jennifer Beckman, of stealing his rare coin collection and selling it to the gold and silver pawn shop for a mere $2,375. Walters claimed the shop never verified the items and instead melted down the entire collection, destroying valuable history in the process. The complaint alleged a total failure in due diligence, raising serious doubts about the show's so-called expertise. Fans who once believed in the pawn shop's dedication to historical preservation were left asking how many other rare items have been lost forever? The $50,000 coin controversy lost forever? The stakes in the stolen coin scandal were higher than anyone first thought. David Walters, the rightful owner of the rare coin collection allegedly stolen by his niece, claimed its true value was closer to $50,000, not the mere $2,375 it fetched at the gold and silver pawn shop. Walters immediately reported the theft, but by the time police contacted the store, it was too late. The coins were gone. A spokesperson for the shop told Fox News, "To the best of my knowledge, the coins are unidentifiable. They may have been melted down. They may have been sold, or they may just be sitting in buckets waiting to be evaluated." The store also disputed the $50,000 valuation, claiming the coins were worth far less than the gentleman thought. The representative stood firm, insisting that no member of the Pawn Stars cast had done anything illegal, but the damage to the show's credibility had already been done. The slow fade of a reality TV giant. Despite the lawsuits, controversies, and scandals that dogged the show's reputation, Pawn Stars managed to survive on air for over a decade. Even as the format shifted from historical deep dives to scripted family drama, it maintained a loyal fan base. But by the time the 21st season aired, the magic that had once captivated millions had clearly faded. Ratings dropped, and longtime fans lamented the loss of the spontaneous, educational charm that made the show a hit. Behind the scenes, internal family conflict, mounting legal issues, and scandalous headlines took their toll. Rick Harrison, ever the savvy entrepreneur, began to redirect his energy into real estate ventures and other business opportunities. Pawn Plaza may not have lived up to its promise, but the gold and silver pawn shop remained a Las Vegas staple. As for the show's future, no official cancellation has been announced, but Pawn Stars has become a shadow of its former self, its once golden brand now tarnished.